Sweet surrender as I love, serve, and remember.
Ooh, that feels so good. Ooh, I'm waking up here, Cheryl. I'm waking up.
It's good to be home.
Yes, it is. It is really, really good to be home. Yesterday was amazing. And then today is... Oh. So I'm gonna, my topic this morning is I wouldn't take nothing from my journey, which is the title of a book by Maya Angelou. And it's interesting because as I was thinking about this last night, I realized that someone gave me this book as a wedding gift for my last wedding, okay? But it was when I thought about it last night, I said, it's kind of like symbolism. Somebody was telling you, your life is about to change, Dar. It's about to change, but be aware that there's a blessing in this, a blessing. Okay, so I wouldn't take nothing from my journey. Einstein told us that the single most important decision any of us will ever make is whether or not to believe that the universe is friendly. When I first heard that didn't make a whole lot of sense to me, because at that time in my life, I was dealing with right and wrong answers. And there was no right or wrong answer to it. It was just what I choose to think. So over the years, and I've heard that many, many, many times over the years, I found myself getting deeper and deeper and deeper into the understanding of it. The most important decision, he said. He didn't say, it'd be great if you kind of decide which way you want to see things, but no, he said, this is the most important decision you will ever make. And so what I finally realized is that a belief in a friendly universe, a friendly, supportive universe, places a whole different spin on every perceived limitation that we move through. Every perceived limit, I'm beginning to understand, oh, wait a minute, there's a point to this. That's what he was telling us, okay? Scripture tells us that it is done unto us as we believe. And it finally occurred to me that a belief in a friendly and supportive universe would have to reveal a universe of warmth and assistance, a universe of support, if I could believe it. And more than anything, it helped me to understand the title of this lesson today. It really did. It really helped me as I was just sitting there thinking, I said, wow, that is deep. That is so profound what he said to us. Because this one belief would aid in our expectation. Think about this. This one belief would aid in our expectation of every outcome that we have in our lives. Yeah. I mean, they said he was smart, okay? I think I'm believing it now, okay? Now, another approach to a friendly universe, and I'm going to share with you just in the beginning, I'm going to share with you what a number of people have said to help to line us up with this concept of a friendly universe, okay? So another approach that addresses this concept is Colin Tipping's concept known as radical forgiveness. Radical Forgiveness, where he shared the idea that the people we encounter are doing things to help us to see things in ourselves that we need to see. See, he was saying, yeah, that person did do what you think that person did to you. I'm not saying that that person didn't do that, but there was something in that experience that you needed to see in another way. It was something in that was a blessing to you that would help you to know yourself in a greater way. Radical forgiveness. He said radical forgiveness enables us to see the spiritual meaning in any situation, the big picture, so to speak. We're able to recognize that life is divinely guided and unfolding for each of us exactly how it needs to unfold for the highest good. We are able to surrender to the flow of life and to learn that ultimately there is nothing to forgive. Now, I don't know about you, but I've been to some places in my life experiences where I could think of 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 things to forgive. But when you reach that point of understanding that the universe is friendly, you really and truly get the idea that someone is participating in this experience to help me know myself in a greater way. Now, if you can't embrace that today, that's okay. Don't push it. Don't push it. Because I didn't. First time I heard it, I can't say those words in church. But the first time I heard it, I wasn't buying it. Today, I preach it. Okay? So, anyway. And then there was Dr. Tom Johnson. He was the pastor of the Woodland Church of Religious Science. And Dr. Tom taught us that people are in our lives to help us experience ourselves. And we, in turn, do the same for others. Okay? So they weren't suggesting that life is all rosy-posy, and that there's no pain or disappointment to be had. They were basically giving us various ways to get something good, something clear, something maybe even wonderful out of our experiences, even the painful ones. Maybe there's a gift hidden in there. What if you start looking for the gift instead of focusing on the wrongdoing? They were all helping us to see that the pain and the disappointment that we experience actually has a positive purpose. A positive purpose that actually points to an expanded version of ourselves. And then, let's not forget, there's Michael Beckwith, who tells us, pain pushes until the vision pulls. Can you hear the likeness in what all these people are saying? Pain pushes until the vision begins to pull. Sometimes there are things that are going on in our lives and we're going, whoa, what is this? Why isn't anything going right? And then all of a sudden we look up and we go, oh, I see. I see why I'm here. I see why that happened. Pain pushes while the vision begins to pull. And then there's Sue Morter, who did the energy codes. There you go. She said, and this is a little long, there is evidence that the physical universe is expanding. Your life is part of the universal creation, as is your consciousness, and they too are always expanding. Some scientists, myself included, interpret this to mean that we are constantly evolving. We are always waking up. This means that everything that happens in your life is serving that expansion. Do you hear it? You hear it again? Everything in your life is serving that expansion. Therefore, everything that happens in your life is in your favor. It is good. I know it doesn't always appear to feel that way, but as you apply these principles, you will begin to sense this truth. We would never consciously choose many of the things that happen in our lives. And we struggle to come to terms and make sense of them. But when we say that we are struggling, we are talking about a place of stuckness within us, about where our vital life energy is being dispersed and lacks enough momentum to continue flowing. Okay. So these are all the people who are telling us, you know, it doesn't look so hot, but this is really some good stuff that's going on in your life. If you can begin to look for the gifts in it. There's something in this for me to see. There's something in this for me to understand in a greater way. And am I willing to look for the blessing in it? Or am I going to continue to look at the very situation that low down? Oh no, I don't want to go there. That lots of love here. that situation that was so upsetting to us. That situation that seemed to turn our lives inside out. Okay? So, all pain has a positive purpose. I know that, like I said, everything I'm saying, if you're in the middle of something right now, you're going, I cannot believe I got up for this. Okay? Seriously. But I'm telling you, there's some good stuff going on. All pain has a positive purpose, but it's up to us how we choose to use it. See, we can stay stuck in the muck, or we can start looking for the blessing. See, but pain's message is to inform us that we're going about this experience all wrong. See, pain is telling us, hey, this hurts. You may want to stop moving in that direction. Hey, this isn't doing you a whole lot of good. You may want to turn around. You're on the wrong track. This train won't take you to where you want to go. See, so all these teachers were telling us to cash in on our pain. They're saying use it in a different way.
It's not to.
See, our purpose is to get unstuck. And one of the ways to get unstuck is to stop telling the same story over and over and over again. So how do we know if we're still stuck? How do we even know? I use John Lennon's quote where he said, everything will be okay in the end.
What are you doing?
If it's not okay,
stop. Leave it
it's
alone.
not the end.
Leave it alone.
You get
I'm
it?
gonna get you. I'm gonna get you.
If it's not okay, it's not the end. See, in other words, if it's not okay, then we're still in the muck. Because I can tell you, I can testify this morning that when you get the gift, I'm testifying this, that when you get the point of whatever this is that has happened in your life. You'll be saying what Maya Angelou said. I wouldn't take nothing from my journey. Nothing. Because this brought me to this point of understanding. And once I understand this, I'm going, wow.
You can nap here.
I was focused on
cannot
all the
play with
wrong
my
stuff.
tables, okay?
Look at what this is.
No.
Look at how beautiful this is.
You can nap here. No.
If it's not okay, remember, it's not the end.
No.
So if your pain is most certainly here, still here, and we are supposed to use it to keep moving forward. That's what we have to do. And in a friendly universe, this is pain's purpose. That's what it's here to tell you. Keep moving. Pain is about getting to the other side. We don't even want to tell our stories from the pain side of the experience. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes when you tell your painful story, you find yourself right back in pain. We don't want to tell our stories from that place. Because when we do, we get stuck there. I remember I was trying to write a book about when my first husband passed away. And I could not believe the emotions. I sat down all excited about writing this. And I got up feeling like something had I didn't feel good afterwards. I didn't feel, because I got stuck in the emotions. Other people tell me, you know what they say? I pulled out some old pictures. And I was really excited about looking at them, and all of a sudden I found that I was depressed. Why? Because pictures carry energy. There's energy in all of that. And we're picking up on that energy. Picking up on that energy. So when you share your stories of pain, we want to be on the other side of it. See, but in order to be on the other side of it, something has to be added to it. See, I always say, don't make your story about what happened to you. Your story should always be about what you did about what happened to you. See, that's the side we want to tell our story from. What I did about it. This is what happened to me, but look what I did. Look where I'm standing. See? So Einstein's statement has made such a positive impression in my life. I make the concept of a friendly universe a part of every session that I do, every practitioner session, every spiritual coaching session. Because this concept has helped me to view various hurtful experiences in my life through a different lens. And in every case, I can see that I'm standing. At the end of it, I'm standing in a different place. I'm not over there anymore. I'm not stuck in that pain anymore. So that's the friendly universe. And that's the idea of stepping out of pain. Another thing we want to step out of is regret land. Yeah, anybody ever been to regret land? You don't have to tell me, but anybody living there now? Don't raise your hand, just wink. I'll see you and I won't tell anybody. Okay? Okay, so listen to this. I taught this book. I love this book. This is Adrienne Golday. She says, do you have regrets that haunt you? Keep you awake till all hours of the night? Do you regret missed opportunities? Are there roads you might have traveled and places you wish you had seen? Have you lost your self-esteem and childhood passions as disappointments washed them away? Has your need for security prevented you from taking chances that you wish you had taken? Have you withheld your love, keeping it buried in your heart rather than giving it freely to another? See, in case you're not aware of this, this is where many people live. This is regret land. This is regret land. And this is not where we want to live, is it? Yeah. Because it keeps us locked in the past. It keeps us locked in our stuff. I heard a story recently about this man. His mother pulled him out of school before he graduated from high school. And so he had to go to work to help to support the family because the father had passed away. His younger brother remained in school and became a doctor. So at age 62, this man was still blaming his mother for him dropping out of school. And by this time, she'd actually passed away. So today he's still complaining and blaming others. I didn't get to do this. I so regret that I didn't get to do this. I would be so different if I had gotten to do what I wanted to do. I could be like my brother. I could be doing more than I'm doing right now. And that's what I'm talking about. Some people spend so much time living in that regret, holding them and others hostage for their so-called mistakes and shortcomings. So how do you leave regret land? See, because if you're there, and I didn't see any eyes winking, but if you're there, how do you leave? Okay. You make a new choice. You make a new decision. And you check out. That's it. This man left high school in his teens, and at 62, he's still in regret. But at any moment, and that's the beauty of this thing called life, at any moment, we can step away from that experience. Just check out. I am ready for something new. I'm claiming it, and I'm ready to see it now. And you know what? The power within us will support it. It must support it because that's all it does. It supports. It doesn't choose for us, but it must support the choices that we make. And the only thing it's ever waiting for is a new choice. So many people spend so much time in that regret. Another place people spend a lot of time in is the mistakes they make. Oh, I made a mistake 30 years ago, and I'm still paying for it. I sometimes encounter people who won't move forward because they're terrified of making a mistake. Terrified. I made one time. I don't want to make another one. You laugh. But sometimes we do get stuck here. We're looking over our shoulder with everything we do. We're second guessing everything we say. I love the reading Reverend Andrea did this morning. You spilled the wine. Are you still there? I love what Panache Desai said. He called it silly. Let go of the silly stuff. So we made a mistake. We'll make more. Mistakes is one. Another characteristic that we want to watch out for is perfectionism. Do I have to be a perfectionist? Can I find a way to love and appreciate myself? Even if I see maybe a little dimple here, okay? Well, maybe more than one dimple here, okay? It's painful, people, okay? No, really and truly. See, that's what I want to ask myself. Am I a perfectionist, or can I just be good just as I am? Can I see myself as good, beautiful, loving, joyful, just as I am, even if I'm not the right size, even if I'm not the right whatever somebody else would choose? This is me. Can I accept me just as I am? So, anyway, I better hurry up because I don't want to do what I did last time. So, so rather than seeing imperfection, could I begin to identify myself as perfect, just as I am? Not a perfectionist, but perfect, just as I am. And can I do it without being afraid of making a mistake? I love this quote. I literally have to remind myself all the time that being afraid of things going wrong isn't the way to make things go right. The greatest deterrent to moving forward is the fear of making a mistake. Can we let that go? Can we be okay? Okay, so what? I said the wrong word. Okay, let it go. It's done. But like many others in my life, we've seen all the stuff that I've been talking about and kind of chuckling about it. But there are people who have had these experiences and have moved through them. See, there are people who are saying right now, I wouldn't take nothing for my journey. Cheryl. As a child, Cheryl suffered from dyslexia. Now she gave me this story to share, so I'm not sharing any secrets, okay? Okay. And the experience, see that smile I was talking about? That's what I see. All day long, that's what I see. Okay. Okay. So the experience that she had of not being able to read was painful. It was very painful for her. Not to mention the fact that the other children would open the door of her classroom and yell things like, "Dummy class," into the room, because that's what kids do. So our parents placed her in a reading clinic, and at that reading clinic, they taught her a special way to learn. It left her so confident that today she feels that she could be a brain surgeon if somebody just handed her the tools and pointed the way. She is pretty smart, I gotta tell you. The girl's amazing, okay? So today she has her unique way of processing everything that she hears and sees. And she says that her greatest pain became her greatest strength. So she wouldn't take nothing for her journey.
Not nothing.
Not nothing. Okay. Okay. Another experience, there was a woman that I knew. She was a beautiful woman whose husband was mentally and emotionally abusive. And he would call her names, he'd criticize her appearance, and talked about her in really abusive ways. And the time came where she began to see herself as he was describing her, which often happens. And she started looking kind of run down. She wasn't that beautiful, as that effervescent, beautiful person that I had known. And then she woke up one day and decided she was going to go back to school, get her degree. She finished it. She did it. Now she's in management and dressing to the hilt. Okay? She is a beautiful woman. She always was. She just forgot. And if you ask her, she wouldn't take nothing for her journey now. Now, I know a story that I want someone else to get up and tell, okay? And that is Jerry Bowen. Jerry, come and share.
So I didn't write anything down because I didn't know this. So I'm going to try to tell you about 57 years in a couple of minutes. That doesn't mean I'm 57. I'm a proud 81. But so I met the love of my life. I'm telling you, he was a hunk of burning love. And we were married in 1964, and in July 11th, my lucky day. And that Labor Day weekend, 1964, Ron became ill, and he had very odd symptoms of no taste, symptoms of his eye was absolutely stuck in the middle. So we ended up going to his family doctor that knew his parents. He was in the hospital for a few days, and they called me and said he might have a brain tumor, and I was 23 years old. So they decided, the doctor did decide before they released him, and they called it a virus of the optical nerve. But they told his parents, because that was the way of life then, that he had multiple sclerosis. We didn't know that for another 7 years. In the meantime, we had 2 little boys, beautiful, beautiful little boys that are great men. And the blessing, there's so much more to tell, but the blessing here is, had Ron and I known that in a very few years, his life and my life would change forever, we wouldn't have had children. I'm sure we wouldn't have, but we did, and it was beautiful. So our life went on, and we lived each day until we got another diagnosis. But we learned that we couldn't go to other people's houses because he was in wheelchairs and motorized big, huge things. So our house became the open door to everyone who lived around us and all of our friends. He had a friend that through his lifetime, they moved to Salt Lake, and through his lifetime, he wrote to Ron once a month, every month. So, but we lived our life, and we went from Canadian crutches, and I've tried, but we had a gift store in the Fremont Hub, and when Ron could no longer work, I just went down and took his place. And he called me one day, and he goes, "Jerry, I was watching Marcus Welby." And there was a woman on there and she had MS, and she found some shoes called Claudia Clausen Walkers. And what they did was, because he could no longer walk, but with these shoes, when you put your heel down, it automatically went up to your toes. So with the help of his crutches, he was able to do that. But through it all, what I'm trying to tell you is that through it all, when love is there, things just have to work out. So if you think it was easy, or I'm trying to tell you, oh, hell no. Can I say that? So it wasn't. And we ended up where, and as life goes on, we decided to, my son and wife and grandchildren moved to Sacramento, and we went up they gave me a surprise 60th birthday, and we went up there and they said, Mom, you need our help, and we want you to buy property up here, and we want you to have a home, and we will help you out. So the next day we went out house hunting, and we found a beautiful lot and decided to have a house built. So then Ron had another downhill, and it just seemed like impossible that we would be able to do anything with that piece of property. But you all know, the phone rang, and our realtor said, you know, if you're interested at all in selling that property, I have a buyer, and she wants it, and she will pay a big price for it. So our profit on the house was over 60, on the lot, and we only had it 1 year. The profit was over $60,000. Ron at that, well, that's not a lot in today's world, but think of how long ago it was. But the beauty was, we needed to have, Ron was now bedridden, and we needed to have the tracks on the ceiling that would put him in the bathtub, on the toilet, all those necessary things. The exact amount of our profit on the territory, on the lot, paid for that. So just in ending, you know I wouldn't give anything for my journey. At one point, at the hardest day in my life, was that I knew I couldn't care for him anymore in our home. He was totally bedridden. He couldn't move any part of his body but his head. I want to tell you men, though, he could hold a remote. He couldn't work it, but he could hold the remote. So anyway, I'm losing my train of thought now. I am funny, though, say it. But anyway, we needed these, and the exact amount, that money that we made, helped us to do our remodel and put those tracks on our ceiling. Oh, and then he finally had to go to a nursing home for the last 9 years of his life. And when he went there, they really didn't think he would make it through the next month. And he absolutely could move his head, that was it, and the little remote hand. Then I learned that really home is where the heart is. And we made his home our home. And I went down every single day, and I was with all the people. Some of them hadn't had a caring touch in years, because sometimes people get in those homes that they, nobody comes to visit them. So even though Ron was on feeding tubes and he couldn't eat, I would make treats and take him down so that everybody would have some goodies to eat. And there was one man who, Jamal in the hall, 'cause I love me some Jamal. And every day I would come in and I would say, "How are you, Jamal?" And he would say, "Better for seeing you, my dear." And then there was Harrison, and Harrison couldn't speak. He had had a serious stroke, so he couldn't speak to where we could know what he was saying. But my little grandsons, when they would go, they would kick the soccer ball around with Harrison. We just took everybody. Oh, and I'm sorry to go so long, but funny story, when my grandchildren came for the first time, and they were only like 3 and 5, and I thought, oh dear God, how do you take these children to a rest home? How do you do that? And I talked to my son, and I said, I have to have Ron see the kids. So anyway, Ron was in a room with a window, and it had a patio out to the side. And so Sam and Joey come into the room, and Sam looked at Joey, and he goes, "Joe, Papa has his own Coke machine." So anyway, it was a long, but I'm going to tell you, I wouldn't give nothing for my journey. I love that man, and he loved me till, we still do. We were married on 7/11, and many days I look at the clock and it's 7/11, and he comes to me in many ways. But you may say that I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. And I hope someday you will join me, and we will all live as one.
Wow. See, and can you hear? And that's just a piece of the story. But there was a blessing at every turn. A blessing at just like yesterday, for those of you that were here, when Dr. Barbara King, everything that looked like she was, things weren't going to work out, there was another blessing. Okay? So that's obviously somebody was looking for those blessings. Obviously somebody was expecting to see them. And the universe supports. That's all it does. So I'll share one more story. It starts with a quote. "Someone I loved once gave me a box full of darkness. It took me years to understand that this too was a gift." That's by Mary Oliver. She's a poet, well-known poet. Now, that story probably represents many of us, and it also represents me. Okay? But you know what? This is what I found. When I began to honor and value myself, I became a different person. When I began to value who I am and what I have to give to the world, I found myself standing in a different place. I was looking for the good, and it was showing up. I'm at Tri-City Church, and I'd finish speaking, and everybody in the room would stand up, and I'd go home, and Cheryl would say, "So how was it?" I say, "It was Fremont." And at Fremont, all you receive is love. I never left that room not feeling totally loved. Never left there, because I was open to it. And that's all any of us have to do. I don't care about the darkness that shows up. I don't care about how painful, how ugly, whatever that was. All I care about now is where I'm standing in this moment, and I know that I'm standing here in this moment because of that. So I wouldn't take nothing. You know, I tell people, as painful as that might have been, if I had to do it over 6 times, I would do it over 6 times just to get this from it. Ernest Holmes said, "We're not so cold-blooded as to say to a person with pain that there is no such thing as pain. That's not our idea of purpose. We admit the fact. It's a quite different thing to admit, though, its necessity. See, there may be pain, but we are not going to say it's necessary. We admit that there is unhappiness, but it would be unthinkable to admit that one has to be unhappy. Can it be true that there could be a universal necessity for unhappiness? It cannot. And the time will come when no one will be unhappy. I do not know when it will come. I am not going to wait for it to come, but it is certain that such a time will arrive. And it will come to you and it will and to me now in such degree as we will let it come. We shall be able to let it come in such degree as we are able to convince our consciousness that it is here. And when it finally does come, we shall find that it was always here. Let it be your way. Thank you for being here this morning.
I walk in God in all I do. I walk in God in all